What up, Nine?
Trapaholics Mixtapes.
As the 9% and word would say, make a better you, a better us.
Give them what they ask for.
Who do you think you are? I'm the word. Boy, I'm the one who put in the work.
When I move, it's in a quick rumble. I will never ever fall, never stumble. And I don't need to be humble. Break down walls like Jericho crumble.
What up, though? It's the word. You see the title. Hey, I just wanted to pop on for a quick minute and talk about misinterpretations, right? I think a lot of conflict in the world or disagreements in the world are caused by misunderstandings, misinterpretations of what people are saying, and there's a lot of different reasons why that happens. First, me personally, um, I'm used to it. I've been misunderstood my whole life, right? And even the other night, when we went live and Mel was up there, like just listening, it's always uh, for me, I guess, because of experiencing it so much. Uh, is always noticeable, like the reasons why it occurs. Like I was just listening back to that video, and I'm looking like it was a couple things. I generally just let people talk because when you're having a conversation, somebody got to listen and somebody got to talk. And oftentimes, I'm a good listener, so I understand. Um, it take patience, and I don't listen. I listen to respond to what the person is saying. I don't hear to react, and oftentimes, you can even see that, and just even in that conversation, um, like listening back to it, I'm like, a lot of things was misinterpreted from what I said, and I try to articulate myself, but like I said, it don't matter how you try to say things if people ain't listening, if they only hear, you know. And usually when that occurs, it's certain verbiage or words that trigger people's response of hearing, when people, it's just certain things that trigger different people, that's when it occurs. When people go from listening to hearing, and then you can always tell because they focal point of their perspective be on an aspect of what you said, but not the full context. You know, like I can say, like I was saying, like certain things it ain't my play, right? But if you listen to why it's not my play, you'll understand. Like when you fighting a war, when you fighting a battle, everybody got different jobs. Everybody they got different departments. Like even on a team, you got different positions, and that position does a specific thing that integrates into the whole, right? And but if you ever played on the team, if you got people playing out of position, that's when shit usually go wrong, right? So I just learned that throughout my years to play my position. So that's why I do what I do. Even um the aspect of when, you know, he was talking about like self development, oftentimes people um they project their own personal experience, within uh they instead of, like I said, taking the context of what someone else is saying, they will interject their own personal experience, or oftentimes it's a projection. Like, even saying like most people suffer from societal problems versus personal problems. I mean, it's a lot of different people on this planet, and a lot of different people suffer from different things, right? And like I said, like with me, you can't fix everything. You can't fix all people, but if you specialize in something, if you're good at something, and you focus on that, you can help the people who need that. That's what I learned. That's why, even doctors, there's a numerous amount of doctors. Some of them work on people, some of them work for people. You know what I'm saying? You have doctors who have no type of patient contact, but they got a PhD in something that help people other than like a sickness or illness. Even I mean, even beyond psychology, it could be a PhD in civics or social or some type of social construct. So even in that aspect, you know. So everybody do things different, and like I said, most people look at the world as black or white, like either you doing this or you're not. And but it always, I don't know. Like I know often I come, I don't know, I just come from a different, like I guess, crowd, because like assumptions, like we can all observe something and assume something, but I always felt it was always better to collect enough data, and people stick with that logical. Logic is instant, but when you critical thinking is a process. So that's why it's always good to collect enough data to critically think. Because sometimes what you make sense of logic, it ain't really logic because you ain't got all the pieces to get the whole picture. It's like um, use a uh, it's like using inductive reason versus using deductive reason. It's like using inductive reason or even abductive, really like an abductive reasoning process, which it leaves too many holes. But yeah, this misunderstanding. People have to take the time out to not only, like, when it comes to interacting with people, you have to not only, it's cool to see what people do and assume why they do it, but if you can understand why that person does that, you get a better understanding of the person, because the same thing can happen for different reasons. Like people do the same thing, but they do it for different reasons. And if you understand the reason, sometimes you can help people, or sometimes it's just getting a better understanding of the person, right? What up, Nine? A minister of general defense is in the building, lady of the night. What up, Nine? Yeah, man, I was trying to come on. I was getting the family together. We was running around doing crazy things today. I gotta fix this fat part of my fence. I ain't even get the chance to do that. But yeah, I was just talking about that conversation. That conversation was kind of weird, man. I ain't gonna say it's weird. It's just, and like I said, I'm used to it, but it's like even I don't know, and it's like I hate, like it is a skill to read people, like to read, but it's interpretation. Like a lot of times, beady, 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 beady. Like once I kind of and understand like the person's intent, I get kind of, um, I guess I don't be as interested in the conversation if I don't feel like the intent is good. Like I just don't. I'm not into the conversation. I'm just not into it no more. I don't feel the intent is good, and then it's like once I feel like that, it's one or two things I can do. Right? I'm just being transparent with me, and this is how I know. I came a lot further than what I used to be, because there's one or two things I can do when I'm not interested. Just say fuck off, or I can uh, be more compassionate and understanding. And I'm aware of it in that moment when I feel that emotion. Like when I feel it, I'd be like, and this some bullshit. But I'd be like, you know what, man? Maybe it'll lead to something. I start saying stuff in my head to convince myself. What up, Craig? What up, my brother? Then I start saying stuff in my head, right? Like convincing myself, like, okay, it's something might come out of it, because sometimes it do. But then I hate when I'm right, because usually I'll be right. Usually I'll be right, and don't lead to that. It don't lead to that. But it's and like I don't really know. I can only like even me assuming, and this is why I always pick the latter of the two. Like always give people an opportunity or a chance because I can be tripping, because even me thinking I know their intent is really an assumption until I start seeing more evidence. But like I said, usually I'm right. But once I see the intent, and I just go hot or cold. It's not even good or bad. It's just hot or cold when I look at the person's intent. I ain't even gonna break that down. I feel like sometimes God puts us in a spot to do a good thing, Yeah, yeah, and and that's how that's how it works. It's like we put in positions for us to test and see how far we came and how far we gotta go. I always say that, and like on this internet has definitely um, helped me see how far I have to go and how far I came in different aspects. Like even with my patient, like even though we online, I think me, having patients on here, like I said, translate to other aspects, you know, in life. So me having patients on here translates over there. And it's crazy. Like when I really, and I think that rub people, like like I appreciate when people, you know, say nice things about me or when people, view how hard I work or see something in me that, I work on. I appreciate that. But like people's opinion about me, I really don't care because especially like online, because don't nobody really know you, right? So like the people who know me, they know me, you know. Everybody else just be assuming they get an aspect of me on here, and they be like, "Well, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't think like man." And then like if you knew me, like I'm methodical, right? I don't feel like I am transparent to things I want people to see. I'm very transparent, but it's some things that don't need to be shown, And if you live, bro, you don't show people your PIN code to your debit card. You don't show people your social security number. You can be transparent and show people what they need to see, but you don't have to show people your soul. You don't have to show people everything. So even like the way I move in life, like I don't really. There's some things that should be done, but not told. And I'm a true component in that. You said I don't take the flowers very easy. I want to earn them. If I ain't earn them, I don't want them. That's just how I am. Because if I ain't earn them, what you giving them to me for? Right? That's just how I am in life. Like if I ain't earn them, I ain't want them. And sometimes, even if I earned them, it's like I appreciate it, and I that's something I worked on because I didn't used to accept nothing from nobody. I used to tell people that like I don't accept nothing from nobody, good or bad. I used to say that shit all the time, like I'm sorry because everything comes with something. And, I was one of the people who assumed just because somebody did something nice for you, they want something else from you because that was my experience. And then I had to realize those is the type of people who feel like that, but that's not everyone. That's not everyone, but there are people like that, and you can tell, because people be trying to give you shit that you ain't even earned or you ain't asked for. They doing that because they want you to owe them one. But the people who are genuine, you know, and give them to you as you earn, then yeah, I learned to take that. Yeah, man. Missing Mod, what up though? What up though, Missing Mod? Man, I honestly, man, I try to be real as possible. And like we went over We went over to my wife's cousin's house today. We was chilling. They barbecued, and we just chilling with the kids. And I'm like one of these people. Like when I'm on, I'm on. When I'm off, I'm off. So I be like interacting with people for 1 minute, then I need my space. Hey, I just need my space. So, and then my like when I travel, it's like an hour and a half. So when I first got there, my head was all tight. So I was just chilling for like the first hour. Everybody doing their thing. Then I started interacting with people, hitting the kids with water balloons. Stuff. Then I went back into my little corner. Chill. But everybody know me, right? They don't take it as disrespect. Sometimes they come over, they be like, "You all right? Yeah, we had a conversation." People love picking my brain. Like her cousin loves picking my brain, and I love it because it's fun. It's like you know, um, but that's how I am. Man. Like people like they know when I'm on, and when I'm off, I'm off. I'm chilling. So yeah. But yeah, I'd be real responsible. But yeah, I was just listening back to that last live, and I'm like, I don't is I like I said, I experienced that a lot. As a, as society is like when um choosing the right words because I can be articulate with my words sometimes and let my thoughts how I think flow, but then you don't know how people perceive or receive certain things. So, you know, just understanding the context of what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to be a little bit more careful with my words. So, I get that petty blood and I just say shit sometimes. But a lot of people make quick assessments, you know, and I just don't fully believe people utilize the different observation tools. And I think most people function, like I said, um, they hear to react because, like, even in the context of when you're talking, you can tell when people personify one aspect of what you said versus the context of what you're saying, then you know that what they're talking about, that's the part that triggered them. And then if you listen long enough, you'll hear why it triggered them. I just don't believe, everybody in this world got different problems. And, you know, like I said, therapy, right? I don't knock therapy, but therapy did not work for me, right? Therapy wasn't for me. But I never say therapy ain't helpful to people because there's a lot of people who've been helped from therapy, right? So even when we talk about personal development, I'm not gonna lie, it's social construct, social and all that stuff, yeah. But the reason even those are effective is because on a personal level, we not right. We just not right. And that's the effects of all this stuff. We be desensitized, we've been programmed. You gotta undo all that. Be able to think for yourself. Like it's like all the problems in the world. People have to come together to solve them, but you got to understand why people not coming together in the first place. Like we know a lot of these problems that we have in the world, we can come together, we can develop strategies, create solutions, we can do all that. But the main part is actually coming together. Why can't we? That's what no one is looking at. And when you look at that, people don't trust people no more. People don't even trust themselves. People don't understand what we can say social construct, but it's still an individual thing you have to fit to be able to participate. That's why I say a better you is a better us. People want the instant solution. Well, some things you got to take it all the way back to the beginning because that's where the problem lies in the individual. That's where the problem lies is in the individual. You can do all these things on a mass scale, but if the individual, it's like having a weak link in the chain. Once that link break, then the whole chain is useless. Yeah, so much greed in the world. It's but the world problems. I mean, the world had problems before we was born. The world had problems after we gone. World had problems soon as humans entered it. Soon as humans had consciousness and intelligence, that's when the world began to have problems. Somebody when you have two different people, somebody has to be right, somebody has to be wrong. You know that's what all the problems about, and the people. The world is perfect, but it's the people and they create the problem. And the problem is when one person got a problem, they don't want to fix it. They want somebody else to fix their problem. Like this is a social issue. Well, if it's not affecting me, then that ain't my problem. Well, eventually it's okay, but like even when you say that, right? Like when I tell people like, oh, I only focus on things I can handle. You know why? Because that's what I need to handle. All the other shit I can't handle, that ain't for me. But if I focus on that, now I'm not focusing on what I can do. Like people don't understand that concept. Like the problem ain't mine because it's not affecting me, but I do have problems that are affecting me. So why would I focus on the problem that's not affecting me versus the problems that are affecting me? Right? Like if I'm not suffering from something, what the fuck I'm gonna go try to fix that for when I got shit on my plate that I need to fix first? Right? That becomes a distraction. And I don't think a lot of people look at it like that. And it's cool because like sometimes it be the shit on our plate be so fucked up. Like we be looking for distraction, looking for something to just take my mind off of it a little bit. And I forgot who said that on the show, but they was 100% right. Sometimes so you don't feel fucked up. Us as human beings, we like to see somebody going through a little bit of more shit just to make our shit look like it ain't that bad. When we see other people, I mean, that's I'm just being real. That's it sounds fucked up to say. I was thinking that one day when I was younger. I'm like, man, sometimes when I see people going through more shit than me, it made me feel a little better. Like, damn, that's some fucked up shit. At least I ain't going through that. It made me feel a little better. And I felt bad for even thinking like that, but it's the truth. Like sometimes we need a distraction. So the shit we going through, you know, it don't look that bad no more. That's just reality. That's just reality. It sounds fucked up to say, but that's what it is. Sometimes we gotta see, other people going through worse shit to realize the shit we going through ain't that bad. So that be the distraction, you know, because it's cool to do, but you can't be fixated on that. Once you become fixated on it, then now you ain't handling what you can handle. Now you ain't doing what you can do. You know, and it's different tools for different people. Like we all need work, but we all need work on different shit, right? We all need work on, and just because you further in in your development in certain aspects, don't mean you better than me. That don't mean we better than one another. If anything, shit, we can help one another. Because I might be further in patience, someone might be even further in understanding. Well, since I got the patience, I can help them with that. They got the understanding, they can help me with that. And we both can get further along in our development. That's the idea. Right. So that's why I don't do the competition. I like complimentary pieces. Like I like complimenting people, working with people. I man, look, I got I got six different licenses, right? Six different licenses because where I came from is like you got to get it done. Whatever you need, get it done yourself. So it, if it was, getting my builder's license, getting my personal training license, my real estate license, if it was getting my life insurance license, my healthcare insurance license, whatever license I obtained, it was because I needed to get something done. Any skill that I learned is because I needed to get something done. And I got tired of waiting for people or asking people for help. And then I realized, like, look, man, you can't do everything, bro. You can try to be a jack of all trades. You need to master a couple of, master a few. And then at least now I know about things. So now I can call on other people and I know if they're doing it right or wrong. If anything else, I know if it's being done right or wrong. But I can't do everything. So since I can't do everything, it's one or two things I can do about that. And what I decided to do is to put people around me to do the things that I don't do. And that way we all can eat. That's how you build that community or that tribe. You might be good at this. I'm good at this. It's like imagine if you got somebody good at carpentry. You got somebody good at bricklaying. You got somebody good at tile. You got somebody, man, everybody work together. Y'all done built the house. Instead of you trying to build that whole house by yourself, it'll take y'all lesser time. And each person, okay, you got 6 people. So everybody use their expertise. We can get 6 houses. So we can get it done in a timely fashion. I'm gonna help you with your house because you gonna help me with my house. We gonna help them with their house because they helped us with our house. Even if it's within a bartering system, you use your skills and resources to do this part, and we all can benefit. I remember like growing up, right? My grandmother, um, she had a garden, nice garden, collard greens, beets, carrots, onions, potatoes. Um, what else she grew? Turnips. And the lady down the street had a nice big. It was 2 big gardens in our little area. And guess what? Her and my grandmother and tomato. My grandmother had green tomatoes. She had red tomatoes. And I used to take bags of vegetables down to that lady house, and I come back with another bag of vegetables. I take bags of vegetables down to Mr. Jesse and come back with bags of meat. We used to hunt, right? So they was growing it and sharing it, trading it, bartering. I was doing this. I just remember taking bags of vegetables from the garden. I remember sometimes I had to take a wagon. Like if I had to take the collard greens and stuff, I had to take a wagon. Collard greens, turnips. I take a wagon with like a couple different bags, and then come back with like I remember coming back from Mr. Jesse. We had meat, rabbit, chicken. We had like deer. We had all different types of meat. Get him some vegetables, he good to go. Give you some meat. Quail. I used to eat quail a lot as a kid. I used to hunt quail. I remember doing that. And that's how they survive, man. Bartering with one another. I got this, you got that. Hey, I trade you some of that for that. I mean, that's how you build a community. That's how people work together. That's how we can get shit done. That's how we can take care of one, take care of ourselves, and take care of one another. But that has to be complementary. That can't be competition. You can't be competing with one another. You got to complement one another. Well, we got to complement one another. But people too quick, like I said, most people they just want to, you know, I guess best the next person to validate themselves. That should be weird, man. There's so much stuff I look up. I'll be like, I don't be knowing. I don't try to feel bad for people. I really don't. I do my best trying not to feel bad for people, but often I do. I know what come with it. I just know what comes with certain things. And I see so many times people do things and they don't understand what they're truly doing. Like, I don't know. I don't know. People don't think of the effect. Well, they don't understand the effect that it's causing or actually. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it no more. I know how to explain it. I just don't feel like it. Also, why is it important to be in a proper circle of people? Well, well, if you asking why it's important, I mean, in my opinion, or I think that's more of a statement. I think that's more of a statement, but uh, yeah, I would say it is important because that's how you will be the most effective and efficient out of life. You know, being around people that I'm not even gonna say on your level, but at least vibing on the same frequency. That I think is more about frequency because when you talk about levels, it's different levels for different things, but the intent I think um like even like if you have a like I like this I don't know man. Okay, so um okay, yeah, I can explain like this. So you know when you it's certain people in your life, right? Um even though something occurs that may be undesirable, you willing to let it go because you know that their intent was not a malice because you know the person. Like, oh, that's how so that when they're having a bad day. Well, that's how you know. Um, so like it's certain people like my wife, and my wife always she Middle Eastern, so she loud, right? She loud, but when she get to yelling, it's like I don't take her serious because I know she just venting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't take her serious because this is what she. She's like, I'm sorry, I just had to get it out. I'm like, okay, I know, because you're crazy. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, praying, whatever. I don't take it serious. I just don't take her serious when she yells. She don't really yell too often. She loud, but she don't really yell too often. But what she do is like, she just pop the head gasket. It's cool. With put a new one on. Put a new head gasket on. She'll be all right. So it's just certain things because you know the person. So you know it's not out of malice. It's not because they want to destroy you or they hate you. They just having a bad day. But then it's like you don't know everyone. So when a person you don't really know do that, then that's when, things can get touchy. So you look at it different, right? You look at it different from somebody because there's no bad thing. Then somebody you don't know what they're turning. I know she heard me. My wife must be listening. She cussing me out right now. Um, um, I don't think I do. There are three types of people around you. Ones you avoid at all costs, ones you meet with, and those who are in your circle. Yeah, yeah, you can categorize that. categorize it. Categorize it like that. You know, it's how I mean. Anytime I interact with a person, my intent is to have an effective, efficient reaction. I like that terminology, so you hear me saying that a lot. Effective and efficient. I feel like um that if I follow that in ideology to have an effective and efficient conversation with whoever I interact with, it kind of gives me structure, right? So if I feel like I'm getting away from it, I know to disengage. I need to get out of there. I'm straight. If I don't feel like we could have an effective, efficient interaction, then do not interact. Abort. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. Get the fuck out. So that's my my if you want to call it my standard of interaction with people. Once I feel like we can't have an effective, efficient interaction, then and I can only do what I can do. You know what I'm saying? There's only so much, anyone can tolerate. So always be mindful of that. That's why I tell people, like, I try not to put people in defensive postures when I'm having a conversation with them. So, you know, you have to be intentional with your vernacular when you're having conversations with people. If you're intentionally not trying to put, because people respond or react to different things. But if you observant and if you are aware, you would notice, the change in aura or the change in a person if you going from a open to a defensive posture. So, and you can tell who speak. It don't always have to be body language. You don't always have to be body language. You can tell. You just have to observe. You have to take time out. You have to be aware of it. You have to even care. Some people don't care. They just say what they want to say. And they feel they got the right to say it. But people got the right to say other shit too. So if you got the right to say what you want to say, don't get mad when people flex their rights too. I never understood that. Like you hear some people say some of the most disrespectful things, but then when somebody give it back to them, then they all appalled. Like, what? Why do you think you could use your First Amendment and everybody else can't? That should be weird to me too. You do that in the mingle crowd. Yeah, yeah, man. I just try to be cool, man. I try to be consistent as possible. I try to be cool and consistent. As long as I do what I do in the dark, same thing I do in the light. Only thing people gonna see is consistency. Doing the same thing. If it's dark or if it's light. If people watching or if they ain't, I'm still doing me, regardless if somebody watching or not. I'm gonna still do me. Some people just wait for people to watch to put on a performance. I'm straight. I'm straight. But yeah, I just wanted to pop on for a minute. I didn't want to stay on long. I wasn't even gonna come on at first, but I was like, burn. Alpha Turkey's in the building. What up, man?
What up, Nine? It feels weird just coming in without. I feel like I'm coming in without permission. What up, Nines? Chat, chat.
You always,
Like I'm
you always
surprising you.
get,
Like boom, I'm here.
you always get permission. Here's Commander.
You heard? Wait, is there somebody else? Oh no, I guess it was
Nah,
me.
nah, that
I thought
was just
maybe.
you.
I thought maybe it was Craig. That's the same Craig in the chat, the bullfighter.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I think he just changed it to C. I thought
What up,
something was
Craig?
different about that
Dee
too.
dee 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 dee.
Yeah, I was sitting there. I listened uh, that live, and I'm like, it was one part in there when we both were saying like, "Damn, you just want me to help the way you want me."
Which live are you talking about? Because I wasn't here in the beginning of you talking, and so I wasn't sure what you're referring to.
When Mel was up here talking.
Oh, okay, yeah. I almost stopped her, and I was gonna say something, but then I said, okay, no, go ahead. And then I was gonna tell her that it kind of felt like she was, because do you remember it was one other time she kind of was talking about like the coaching, and there was another time she brought it up
Yeah,
and was challenging
cause
it basically a little bit.
it didn't, it didn't work for her. So, and that's why I
Yeah, it
say
doesn't
like
apply
people,
for everyone.
yeah, and that's why I was saying like a lot of times. That's you, Craig.
That's me, brother.
Okay, I was
Yeah,
about to say a lot of times people they project their own personal experience and
Of course.
personify it like it's yeah. So
But I think I don't know if it comes from a place of like, hey, you're challenging word, like it's coming off kind of rude. Like it wasn't at the beginning, in the middle it kind of felt like it was rude. But then I kind of think, is it coming from a place of challenging, or it's coming from a place of wanting to give you a different perspective, like maybe some sort of perspective of hers that might, influence you in some way to try
but
something different on people that the normal stuff doesn't work on.
can I be honest though?
I don't care.
Like I'm being on, and I don't know how to say it without you know I can't say it a more respectful way than this. I just felt like it came from a place of ignorance. Like you
Yeah,
don't
because
even like
yeah.
you don't know what I do or how I do. That's why I was like I was trying to give food for thought. Like you never took me as a client, so you're just assuming, and and that's not the first time that she did that with me, assuming something about me,
Oh yeah, quite a
and
few times.
even when Speak came up here, she apologized because of assumption. So I see a pattern. I'm not gonna say behavior because I don't know, but I definitely see a pattern of assumptions and projecting your perception of that. Like maybe I mean I know a lot of people who had bad dentists, so they think dentists are bad, but no, some good dentists out there too. Can you still hear me?
yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Did it
I
get
was going to
lower?
say that sometimes people are
No.
probing, so they'll do
Okay.
things to kind of probe to see where their limitations are at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not use that word probe. No, I'm just kidding. They pick at people sometimes,
I
though.
don't know how else to categorize that though. I mean, it's what they're doing is they're
I'm just
trying
kidding with you.
to feel where they can get away with things and where they can't. So
Sometimes it's just for the sake of debate, right? To be
yep.
contrary sometimes.
But people like to do that. They'll figure out what they can semi,
Get away
detect
with
the
it.
trigger, and they'll play
Yeah.
with that trigger, like the guy did when he was doing the squelch thing, the feedback.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. He hasn't
He
come back.
knew that was triggering to people.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what
See,
you're saying.
yeah, it's yeah. One thing I would challenge is that how is it that some people, like, they break that ceiling, right? That ceiling that she talks about, like there's a ceiling where you can't get past just no matter what you do. But how is it that other people, there's people that break ceilings after ceilings, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
like my teacher told me, you do not have to be a statistic. You don't have to live to that statistic. Like you
Right.
can do and be whatever you want to be, and like don't let that, just take that out of your mind. And just her telling
Yeah.
me that, it's like, all just her telling me that, like, did something for me.
And see, this too, like, just working with people. Like, I notice a lot of times it's easier. I'm trying to articulate my words in a way. So sometimes, like this work, not her per se. I'm just saying people in general. Sometimes things are digestible when they feel they don't have control of something that you need other people to fix the problem, and then now you feel a little bit, it's more digestible. Okay, this is wrong with me, but it's not just my problem; it's our problem. But to fix it, we need these people to do it versus me fixing my own self.
I think that there's kind of like with words, there's an application, and it may
Yeah.
be how you apply the knowledge versus what works and what doesn't work. So you can use the same method, but it's how you apply the method that makes a difference.
Hmm.
And like kind of like tumblers and a lock. You can know where all the
Yeah.
tumblers are
Hmm.
supposed to be, but figuring out how the pattern interacts is the difference.
Hmm.
I go back to the guy with no hands and no arms and no legs. Like I'm sure that he thought different than what other people probably put on him. Like, oh,
Sure.
you'll probably never be married. You'll probably never have kids. You'll probably never have a successful career. And he's got all of it, and probably more. I mean, from all appearances.
Well,
This is,
with energy, you get out of things what you put into it. If you're going to put negative energy into stuff, it's going to bounce back and reflect to you. You put positive energy into stuff, it will have the same effect. And
yeah,
sometimes, no matter what you do, things just go sideways.
yeah,
That's
I agree with
humanity,
that.
I think.
Yeah, because sometimes you get people that really do, they try, but, not everybody can become a top artist or whatever it is, like they try all their life to be something they don't achieve, but maybe that's
Everybody,
not what they were meant to be. They're trying for
everybody
something
don't
that's not
win.
in the cards for them.
Hmm. Everybody don't win. So sometimes not winning is the biggest thing. The, those
Because people
big
are
stars, the
stubborn.
celebrities, you know, a lot of them went through shit to get where they were. And it fucked them up. And maybe,
But,
you avoided that shit. It's, man, so many dynamics in life. Like people want to
one
be
of the,
famous and rich until they see what they got to do to maintain
one of the biggest people that I like to listen to talk about coming from a point of nowhere and becoming somebody is Shaquille O'Neal.
it.
He has
Hmm.
an amazing story.
I don't know his story.
It's amazing. And I encourage somebody, if they don't know it, to look into it.
You know who got an awesome story too? Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey's got a good story. He's Canadian
Hell
too, if
yeah.
I remember.
Jim
You
Carrey
can
got a
you can learn
dog.
so much from people just by listening to where they've been and how they've gotten to where they're at. Adam Sandler's another one. He went to school with all the
Yeah.
people that are in most of his movies, and he's tried to uplift those people from college to a point where they're successful.
Yeah. Word, going back to what you were saying about how, like, sometimes women will lose their gasket, or, like, sometimes you just gotta let people kind of vent and kind of simmer down on their own, right?
Yeah,
Just let
like
them.
when, hmm
It's
Well, there's
important to know when you have the right moment to exit the situation and come back to it. And
yeah, because most people will.
especially in a relationship, being able to understand when you're being triggered and to be able to tell your partner, "Hey, let's cap this for a minute and come back to it after I cool down, because I'm going to say something I don't want to say."
Oh my
And for your
gosh,
partner to
yes.
understand when you're at that point to just let you go.
And then
You know,
not saying things that you can't, like, that once they come out of your mouth,
can't
it's
take it back.
like you
You
can't
can't
take it
unspeak
back, and
words.
it's like a loss of respect, like I've seen people talk to each other like, whoa, Like, how do you guys come back from that?
And
Like,
it's
whoa.
I rather, like I just learned like emotions dissipate kind of quick. The emotion is almost instant. The feeling is what lasts long. So when I'm in that emotional state, I try to shut the fuck up because everything is a projection. It's something that I'm feeling on the inside. But like you say, you would say something, you can't take that shit back. They say sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt. Man, words will kill you, bro.
They will, and it will ruin a
Words will
relationship.
kill you, bro. Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, there's things like I know I could tell my husband to hurt him, but like I stop myself because I'm like, even if he
Mhm.
said something to hurt me, I'm like, no, no, I can't say that. I can't say that. If I
I,
say
Yeah,
that, it's gonna hurt him, and I
I
can't take it
preach that
back.
to my kids. You know, there's a moment in time to really stop and think three times before you let something come out of your mouth, because
mhm.
sometimes even the approach of how you say something can be devastating to somebody else. It's not the
Bro, I
information that
learned,
you're trying to convey; it's how you convey it. The energy that you send with that, it's powerful.
bro. I learned this. I understood this because they used to always say it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? But I
Yep.
learned it's not only how you say it, it's when you say it, and sometimes even why you say it. You know, I add those other factors. It's how, when, why, and what. Because if those things don't align, it can be misconstrued, misunderstood, misinterpreted. You know,
Well,
so
and I think in a heated moment, and I'm not trying to categorize women and men, but when you're in a situation where you're kind of at a like a polarization where you guys are bouncing off of each other, a woman will tend to be a little bit more emotional, and a man will try to be a lot more logical. And just the two of those elements are adding to that whole entire energy, and it's not conductive to be able to sit down and have any rational thought. So take it a step back and say, you know what? Before we have this conversation and we get into this energy, just want to step back and reflect for a minute, and then we'll come back and have this when things are and when I'm in a different frame of mind, because right now is not the time.
like, so when I'm working with couples, bro, oftentimes I point what you just said out. A lot of times the argument be because one person is thinking logical or their perception is logical and the other person is based on how they feel and emotion. And I just found to be effective and efficient with communication between the two is having each party understand the mindset or mind state of the other party. Take your feelings and your thoughts out of it and try to understand. Like, so for women, I try to tell them, make it make sense for a man. You know, try to put it in a logical sense. And it's not hard to do. It sounds hard sometimes, but it's not. Just tell them why things are important to you. Explaining the emotion is logic. And then if a man understands you feel this way because of this situation or this happened to you and that's how you develop a man, so be more open minded to that because that makes sense to him. Okay, she don't like this because she experienced this and it made her feel this way. It's all women gotta do. And men, you kinda gotta do the same thing. You gotta almost put it in an emotional aspect. Tell them why it's important to you.
Yeah, and one of the things that I used with my wife, it was an important tool for her, was she would just write me a note. You know, we'd have a conversation and something wouldn't set right with her. She would just write down, the what she was thinking, how it made her feel, and what I said, and what the what her reaction to what I said uh,
Yeah.
was interpreted, and then
Someone told me that one time.
it would add more dialogue to the situation. And
Well,
one
it
of the
gives you
things that I told
time.
her is that I never wanted to go to bed mad. You know, I don't mind staying up all night if we got to discuss something, but I don't ever want to. I don't want to end the day mad because what happens if you don't wake up. Do you want that negative energy to be the last thing? I don't.
No.
I go to bed mad and then I wake up forgetting everything. Like I wake up like it's a new day. Like
That's no women. Women are women. I mean, women go to sleep. Most women go to sleep mad and wake up. They change their mood. Sleep is. I know a lot of women when they get mad, they go to sleep or they go meditate.
yeah, my first instinct is like, oh, like kiss him, hug him, touch him, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I was mad at you. Like, oh, I forgot. It's funny. I think my husband can stay mad longer than I can. He stays. He holds out a little more, and then I'm like, come on, just like stop already. Like, cut it out. You know
Come
you
here.
love me. You're
Come
not
here.
gonna
Come here.
divorce
Let me
me, so
distract
let's.
you for a minute. I got your attention now. Are you mad still? Funny how that
Yeah,
works, huh?
but
Hey,
the
I
letter
can't
thing
even
is
get.
good.
Well, let me ask you this: as a female, when your husband get mad, do you get mad?
You're asking me? Yeah.
My
Well, it
wife be
depends
mad
though.
at me. She be mad at me because I'm mad at her.
It depends. Sometimes I'm not, and but then I think it aggravates him more because sometimes he's mad and I'm not mad. I'm just like laughing. I'm just like whatever, like. But yeah,
And
it can go
this
either
is
way.
something that I learned from my last stepdad. Him and my mother would have altercations, and he would just look at her and say, "You know what? You need to leave." And she would say, "Why?" And he would say, "Because I'm trying to be mad at you right now, and I can't be. So you need to go
Aw,
away."
you need to go away.
My wife's mad because the baby. She's like, take her. I'm like, nope, you had her. No, I ain't gonna be on too long though.
It, uh, BDB GP's in the chat.
Sweetie B, what up? How you living? How you feeling? What up, Knock?
What up,
Yeah, I
BDB?
made
What
that.
up, nine?
He had an artist life. I thought that. Y'all go check out BDB, man. Go check out that artist life too. And check out the Battle of the Beat. I've been missing Battle of the Beats. I ain't get in tonight until like
Well, I've been
9:30.
missing all of it.
Yeah, I've been running.
I didn't even get any notifications. I didn't even know he had that.
And my
But I
wife is
looked
on
in.
my head about this book, man. She was like, I thought she was supposed to be writing the book, writing. And I'm like, I'm good, mom. She
Checking
on
you.
my
She's like,
head, bro.
what are you doing,
Well, are you writing
Yeah.
it or are you speaking it?
Well, no, I'm actually writing it. I'm doing the plot right now. And then I'm just creating the plot, and I've been adding to it. But I'm in the I wrote out a couple of characters and the development within the character. I don't like the guideline I'm following is like when I was in college. So it's like
Yeah.
it's probably outdated, but
And don't
you
add
know,
people's
I
real
didn't start
names.
writing a story. Oh no. No, this is I can't even tell you the context of it, but it's something it incorporates a lot of what I talk about on here. As far as like the creator, emotions, it incorporates a lot of what I talk about on here.
And one of the
But
things that
it's
saved
a
me,
fictional story, I guess you could call
one of the things that saved me
it.
from not wanting to read were the twist of plot books, and I think that helped me with being able to troubleshoot and skill check things.
Yeah.
You'd have to switch from page to a different section of the book, and then it would jump around a lot. And if you felt like you were going in a bad direction, you could back up, and go back to another point and change direction. I would do that a lot. Like I would read the book and I would read through the different scenarios, and it would make a big difference.
Yeah, I don't like to read.
I struggled with it when I was young because it was just like, you've got to stop doing everything and just dedicate your attention to the book. And it was hard for me to focus with that with ADHD.
Yes.
Mhm.
To reread, read out loud.
That's why I used to get lost in books. I think because that is certain things. I guess everybody different. But it's certain things like only certain things can grasp my attention for a long time, and books was one of them. Books and classical music, I can get lost in either one of them.
I was struggling when I was like 12 years old, and I sat down and read all 4 of the Lord of the Rings books in 4 days.
We never
And I
got
was like,
exposed to like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars and like I was
Oh, I could
reading
never do that.
Hamlet and shit like that. I was reading like old poetry, like plays and shit.
I think
I'll
that
start a book and not finish.
those are some of the last books that I really enjoyed just reading and being able to go back and reread. And Tolkien had an amazing ability to capture a story. And then you get into other writers like C.S. Lewis and so many other people that really had some fascinating writings. And one of the things I hated growing up was history, and now I love history. It's like you can't get enough of it. So you change over time.
Yeah, the interest changed. That's all. Yeah,
Did you hear about the YouTubers Marcus and Zara, a married couple?
uh-uh.
No. They
What
have
happened?
the well, I guess she met a she was working at, I guess, the jail or prison, I'm not sure what, but she met somebody there and ended up marrying him. And then they had 1 or 2 kids together. I don't know if both of them are from him, but they had they were on social media, and there's a video, the last live that they did, they're like accusing each other of stuff, like cheating and all this stuff, and he ended up unaliving her and then unaliving himself. But if you look at the video, if you look at the live stream, it's like she's laughing in the background, and it doesn't even look like anything like that would happen. Like, I mean, he does threaten her, but it's very like nonchalant, and they're kind of both speaking over each other, and they're talking to the audience, and she's kind of laughing, and
You
he's
did
like,
it on live stream?
he didn't do it on live stream, but after the live stream he did it.
That's
But
And
he
what
was,
crazy.
was the name? Marcus and Zari?
yeah, Shamarcus. Well, their social media names was like Duchess. Her name was Duchess, and his name was, I forgot. But their real names are Shamarcus, and her name was Zara. It just happened like
Yeah.
this June. It just happened this month. So
That's
I can post a
crazy.
link in the back so you can watch a little bit of it. There's some people that are covering it. But yeah, it's like when to know to just like stop. Because people were saying like, okay, she should have stopped, and she kept, like Craig says, poking and poking and egging it on, and she should have just left the house. Her friend told her to leave. Just leave.
And see, this is like in nature. Like when you look at nature, like male nature, like when we challenge one another, it gets physical, right? Like when men challenge, like you can look all through nature, like animals, insects. When the men challenge one another, when the male challenge, it always gets physical. Problem is when females challenge, they y'all fight differently. It'd be mental or emotional. That's where they hit the hardest at. But when challenging a male, you gotta understand, all men don't know how to. They don't have that male. All male species don't look at females like, oh, protect and nah. If they feel like it's a threat, they gonna act like that female is a male. So that's why a lot of men or males, you know, that's why I tell females don't challenge a man because by nature it's just natural. When men get challenged, shit get physical, man.
Well, humans are natural hunters, so it makes a difference.
Man, that's what I be
Nate,
like, man.
baby, moot moot. What up?
Nate,
Nate, what up,
no!
though? I was in his live earlier. I was about to type in the chat, and I was like, nah, he might hit me with a drop or something. As soon as I type in the chat, like, got your ass.
You
I
get
was
you
at
with
my
some of that
people house too.
wasabi.
Yeah, I was like, I'm in my people house too, so I couldn't fight back. So I was like, I'm gonna just listen to bro.
He had a great live the other day. He was at the beach and he was like trying to chop that water. Wasabi.
You didn't want to go outside when I went. Now you want to go outside. Oh well. Oh well.
Okay, I posted the link in the back chat so you can see the video later.
No, move. I can't even touch my computer. Keep licking my finger. I'm not going outside right now. Leave me alone.
And then, another thing I was watching today that maybe you want to see is Candace Owens. Well, okay, first of all, Priscilla. What is her name? Priscilla, the Queen Maker. You know that chick?
I don't.
Uh-huh.
Um, she challenges. Well, I guess she
Oh, that's
challenges
what
both
you
men
put in
and
the
women.
back chat.
Well, the one in the back chat is Marcus and Zara. That guy plays
Yeah,
their
Queenmaker.
last stream,
Oh,
and I think he starts
when
off
you
with playing
said,
their stream.
yeah, you
What's
sent
that?
me Candace Owens and the Queenmaker.
Oh, is that what I sent you? Okay, I sent you the wrong one then. Let me see. Yeah, cause well,
Candace
that one I thought
Owens.
maybe you want to watch later, cause there's a clip. If you okay, so if you go to that in the comments, I put a timestamp where Candace and the Queen Maker start, where their session starts.
Did they
But
actually talk to one another?
yeah, they talk to one another. Yes, I didn't get to watch all of it. I didn't get to watch all of
Oh,
it,
okay.
and it's and the channel is fact checking everybody, because not Candace Owens was talking to different people. It's like a whole circle of feminists, I guess, and they get to talk to Candace Owens and challenge her way of thinking, I guess. But let me see if I can post the uh, Marcus one in the back chat. I copied a couple links.
I feel like that some of that content is viral content, and a lot of people put too much energy into those
He
confrontational
just
videos. I think
remind me. I don't know. It's just like what she projects is like a woman who wants to be a man. That's what she projected to me, like Queen Maker.
it gets dangerous though because there are a lot of content creators that try to emulate other people because they can see that the views are working,
Yeah.
and I don't think that the message is pure. They're just trying to copycat people, and I don't think that that's good for the viewing
Okay, I posted the
consumption.
second link. Sorry, Craig.
No, you're fine. But yeah, I don't getting to the point where you're having that kind of a relationship with your wife over something that's online to me is crazy.
Well, that couple that everything was online, it's like, bro, they were going to online to share all their problems. And I think what had happened is like they had done things like that before, and then they would make up and they would be good. And then you know how some people do it for content. they have these arguments for content. They're not even real, or they exaggerate them. So it's like, how could you even know if it was a real dangerous situation where maybe somebody who was watching could have maybe sent someone to check on them, like, maybe one of their family members
I,
could have
I
been
kind
watching
of
the stream.
consider I kind of consider that to be the drip effect, because you keep dabbling with stuff like that and keep dabbling with it, and pretty soon you become desensitized to
Yeah, it's
those
true.
feelings and emotions. And when you get to the point where you lose all fear when you're doing stuff, it's time to stop doing it because it's dangerous. When you're not afraid to walk on that tightrope, then you've gone too far.
Well, I guess they had done some witchcraft. I think her or somebody in her family had done some witchcraft on him. There was that accusation, and there was the cheating, and then there was like, oh, you got herpes, and she's like, yeah, you know what? Well, she got quiet, and he's like, oh, you got quiet, and then she's like, well, yeah, I have herpes, but where did I get herpes from? Like, I got it from you. I didn't have herpes before. It's like, whoa, like all this stuff that. Why are you doing this online?
Why are you in
That
that relationship?
that and they be the part that really set it off too. Is like that public embarrassment. Like
Well, he's the one that started
especially
it. Yeah.
you see let's see that like women, man. Like if y'all look, it's some telltale signs that you dealing with like immaturity. Like with a man trying to get like this like a man, like Craig on here. Like when you done dealt with women, like don't do that tit for tat shit because that shit is never gonna stop with women. Like if you did something and she got you back, let the shit go. Just move on from it. Okay.
Yeah, well,
we gotta
knowing when you're in a situation where you can just sense that a relationship's not going to be productive, it's early
Hmm.
on when it's time to say no. I'm not going to entertain this. This is not for me. And I think that people don't get that because they don't come from having a good, well-rounded emotional upraising, so they don't see the signs of when things are not good for you. Like you can be in a relationship with somebody and somebody can be a great person, but they're not for you. And knowing when to cut that and say, you know what, I love you as a person, but and we could be friends, but us together is not good.
Yeah, like there was
I think
accusations of him cheating, and then I guess she started cheating. But like that's not gonna make things good, right? I mean,
No,
two
mm-mm,
wrongs don't make a right.
and
mm-mm.
that's where I
And a
feel
lot
like,
of times I just feel like a lot of times people like what Craig say, you see the signs and you get out, but a lot of times, bro, people they don't even be in love with the person. They be in love with the idea of being in a relationship.
right, and that's what I was going to allude to. Sometimes the hunt is more important to a person than the actual game that they're hunting. And if you can't be in a relationship where you're 100% committed to somebody, then you don't need that relationship. It's bad energy. And it's the same thing, you could put 100% into a relationship and be with somebody that will only give you 20% of their attention. You got to have
Craig,
somebody
now
that's willing to do it together.
check this out. When I learned, like, I looked at like when I was younger, I used to look at it like this: if I'm willing to hurt you, I'm not supposed to be with you. Like, if I'm willing to do something that hurts you, I don't need to be with you.
And I think that that's where we get lost with courtship, because I think courtship is where you test those boundaries.
Hmm.
You know, it used to be where you would court somebody before you would even date. And part of that, I think, is that game is how long can you survive without me? You know, here's some of my attention. Now, how long is it going to take you to come back? I want some more of that attention. And I think that cat dance back and forth is where you figure out whether that is going to be a good relationship for both of you or not.
There's just so many toxic relationships.
Well, that's
But
because I don't think that people know how to court, and I think
well,
that that's a.
she was around 27 years old and he was around 36 years old. I feel like that's old enough to have some maturity, but I know age doesn't mean maturity.
I don't think it is anymore. I don't think that people really are maturing until they get into their 50s, which is dangerous. There's too much distraction stuff going on in the world right now that people aren't really maturing into adulthood at a normal rate. Like I've got a 36-year-old son that still acts like he's 17. You know, it's a problem with people. And I think that that's probably a lot more common than what we realize.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's a hard thing. It's hard because you want to tell parents, "Hey, put your foot down," but it's hard.
And just like Nate said, public sharing of your partner is the worst thing to do.
Yeah, dude
Hey
said, "I'm gonna
man,
put it all out there." He said he went live stream. He said, "I'm gonna say everything," and I don't think she liked that. Obviously, nobody
and
likes that.
like even like this in a relationship, I always tell people, man, whatever y'all go through it, man. Don't put everybody in y'all business, man. Especially, and that's like even family and friends. I don't feel people like because whatever y'all going through, it might be temporary to y'all, but once y'all start telling everybody, people start developing different perspectives of people and stuff, and it is doesn't lead to anything positive. But now imagine doing that shit on social media, and y'all then got a little page, y'all got followers and shit, and now like man, hell no, like public, like man, I couldn't imagine coming on here saying nothing negative about my wife. Like how that make me look.
Well, that's even like my son, my middle son, him and his wife have 4 kids. And I had to pull him aside and say, look, you can't have these conversations with your wife in front of your kids.
Right.
Because now your kids are starting to have opinions and influences on your relationship, which is none of their business.
I don't know.
Whatever's between the two of you, whatever's going on between you, that's none of the kids' business, period. You don't do that stuff around your kids. You want to be in step with your partner when it comes to dealing with your children, because if not, you're corrupting the ability for your children to understand what it means to be in a team as a
Oh,
partner. And he was had a gut check moment, like, whoa, wait a minute. Better write that down. Dad's saying something that's important.
hold on, Daddy dropping knowledge. Yeah, man, you can't. That's like I be messing, like, look, man, my wife got a big butt. And I'd be like, anytime I say something about her butt, my son be like, "Don't be talking about my mama like that." He get mad at me. Like, "Nah,
That's funny.
this butt been big before you came around. And you the reason it grew some more. So be quiet."
I think it's good to show affection in front of like kids,
The
like
affection is one
children.
thing, but when you're struggling with each other, having that in front of the kids
Yeah,
is not healthy.
No,
yeah,
yeah,
nah,
that's
me,
not.
I don't like it because look, man, my kids are so funny. My wife is like naturally loud, right? And she said I always talk low. So, so she'd be talking to me. Next thing you know, my son be like, "Ah, what the hell wrong with him?" And I noticed one day it's because my wife talked loud. Like I said, "You think mommy and daddy argue?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "No, your mama just loud." He started laughing like, "Okay." Like, now we ain't arguing, but
Yeah, it makes
no,
kids nervous.
yeah.
Well, like I'm hard of hearing, so my wife would say stuff to me, and she would think that I could hear it just because she said it. And I always would constantly have to remind her, if you want to make sure that I understand what you're saying to me, ask me to repeat it. And if I can't repeat it, then I didn't hear it. And she was like, it frustrates me because I feel like that you're not trying to listen to me. And I said, it's not that I'm not trying to listen to you. I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, she has
And
to
if
make
it's,
eye contact, maybe.
so if you really want me to cue into something, make sure that I hear what you're saying, because if I don't hear it, then I'm not going to be, it's not in my mind. And it took her
Listen,
a while to come to that realization that it's important. That
even
it's,
husbands that can hear well will selectively hear what they want to hear.
but,
My wife
if
will
you're in the
she'll
middle
be
of
like,
thinking about something, your thoughts can be so loud that you tune out everything around you.
I do that naturally. I just tune everything up. I be in the present like a motherfucker, man. My wife be like, "What you thinking about?" Nothing. I am thinking about absolutely nothing. I'm just enjoying the scenery. You disturbing me. Be quiet, woman. You shut up, cause she already cussed me. She listen. I'm just talking shit because I know she listening to the show. Because I said something about her being loud earlier. She was like, "Yeah, so what? I'm loud. I get my stuff. I put an order in." So, and I'm like,
Shout
man.
out to Mrs. Word.
Oh yeah, and it's been crucial. She's been a vital part of all of this. So she deserves some flowers for that, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like, you deserve flowers every day. Everything just for dealing with me. I'm a special case, bro. It take a lot to deal with me. It take a lot, man. That's why I try to give her whatever the hell she wants. This is
I'm
for
that way
putting up
too.
with me
I'm a handful when I'm
this
mad,
hour. This is for
and that's
putting
what
up for me this morning. This for putting up for me this afternoon. This for putting up with me at night. We need to get 3 gifts a day.
and that's what I had to tell my mom, because my mom and I wouldn't have a relationship today if it wouldn't have been for my wife to push my buttons. And my wife was a force to be reckoned with. You know, she might have been 5 foot and 125 pounds, but she was like, trying to move a 10,000 pound boulder, and she had her mindset on something that was pretty hard to change. But that was something that was able to tame my inner beast and put me in a point where I could really kind of refine who I am. And those kinds of relationships are very rare, I think.
Yeah, that's why I got my wife. Man.
So I heard somebody say that people can have
What you
multiple
doing?
soulmates. Like it's not just one soulmate. That people can have multiple.
I don't know. I would challenge
Oh
that.
no,
Not at the same time.
that's frustrating.
They're not saying like, oh, you can have multiple people at the same time.
All right, give me a minute. I'm gonna get it.
All right.
I'm coming in.
And then
Give me
also,
right there.
oh, sorry, word.
Oh no, it's like it. My daughter took a nap on the way home from our cousin's house, so she wide awake.
Well, if you have to close it out, just let us know. No
Well,
worries.
I'm gonna drink this coffee first, and then I told her to let my food cook, and then I'll be in the room.
Okay. Yeah.
She
So
could thug it out for a minute.
multiple soulmates, but not only that. Like, let's say it could be a soulmate that's just come into your life for a season. Not the rest of your life. So you could
Well, and that's
have. But if
sorry.
it's your soulmate, don't you think if it's your soulmate, let's say you marry what you think is your soulmate, whatever that means, right? Then shouldn't that be forever? I mean, till death do
Yeah,
us part.
Yeah, I've only
I
been
don't
married
believe
once,
it.
so I can't speak on that. I don't know.
I feel like it's just something people say to make themselves feel better, like to keep going and find their next soulmate so that they don't
I
get
don't.
stuck on.
I mean, people like your soulmate is a soulmate. That's the one you got a soul tied to. Well, you can have soul tied to many people, but your soulmate is the one that you resonate and raise each other frequency. Like if I can put it into comic book. Think about Hawkman and Hawk Girl. You probably don't know the story about Hawkman and Hawk Girl.
No.
These motherfuckers died a whole bunch of times and came back and found one another,
Mm.
and they just only will be with one another.
Now, the people who think they're losing grip on their soulmate and then they do something like unalive them because if nobody, if they can't have them, nobody else can. Like,
They
is
ain't
that,
just,
it's not really true soulmates, right? What do you think?
No.
nah, they ain't your soulmate. You would sacrifice yourself for your soulmate.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's what I think too.
That's
Oh, what's up?
that's a relationship on the most toxic level. You know,
That's the
the
soul
amount of jealousy,
devourer. Very devourer the soul, man.
the amount of jealousy is that's in that kind of energy is crazy. That you would have to take somebody's life to not be able to share them with somebody else.
Yeah, so there's a story, Susan Morphew, she went missing. Okay, her and her husband had been married for, I don't know, many, many years. They had like 2 adult daughters, and they lived in this beautiful, like, millionaire house. And I think they had met when they were in high school, I want to say. But yeah, he just couldn't take it. He couldn't, I guess. They finally arrested him after, I think it's been 5 years since she's been gone, and they finally arrested him. The daughters are backing up the dad. They walk into the court hand in hand, the 2 girls, and they're beautiful girls. They look like their mother. And the story is so sad. So sad. But I guess he was just that type of person, like nobody else can have her. Like she's not gonna leave me.
That's crazy, man. I ain't never felt like that about nobody. Not even my. I love my wife to death, and that's my soulmate. But I'm straight. If she don't want to be with me, then
Let
I
me
ain't
ask you,
gonna
the word
force
with
that
your
shit.
wife, wouldn't you want to celebrate her and for people to know and see her inner beauty? And I'm not talking about in a romantic situation, but just in a general light as a person, you would want to nurture that aura of her for people
Mm-hmm.
to recognize what it is that you feel about her. I mean, you'd want to celebrate your devotion.
Man, look, check this out, bro. Since my wife met me, she walked different. She talked different. People see what I see now. She's showing other people. So I know exactly what you're saying, bro.
Does that make sense, though? I mean, that to me is a
Yeah,
healthy relationship.
yeah. It's like I seen something in there and I pulled it out of her so everybody else is. I mean, my wife was already a beautiful person, but is she suffered from self-esteem issues, and that's predicated upon her experience prior to me, and I help her heal from that. And when she healed from that, she didn't stop caring what everybody else was thinking. What should she do? How she should look? She just start being herself. And whoever ain't like it, like my wife, goofy man, and she used to hide that from people because it wasn't ladylike. I'm like, oh, well, you my lady, you can be goofy. I said you can be goofy. Like, go ahead and be goofy. Now people be like, oh, I didn't know you had a sense of humor like that. Man, my wife goofy and shit. But it's part of her aura, man. It's like she just like people being happy around her. Like she servitude for that shit, man. That's just who she is. But I mean, she go above and beyond, and that's just a part of her. And I never tell her. Like sometimes I'll be like, hold on, you got to pull back on that, or with this person. But I still let her be her, man.
Yeah,
What's up,
and
Bricky? Bricky's
Eric,
in the chat.
What
Oi,
up,
oi.
Brick?
my wife was in a relationship for a long time with her ex, and he kind of neutered her artistic abilities. And then when we got together, I started pulling that out of her, and she got kind of a little bit of almost sideways with it for a moment. And she was like, I'm not used to somebody. And I was like, that was that
Yeah.
relationship. This is our relationship. and she was able to grow to a point where she could actually sit down and have a conversation with her ex without them throwing words at each other. So to me, that's the ultimate for the kids. They had kids together, and it's like, how do you support the kids if you guys can't sit down and communicate? What is it? What are you projecting to your kids? So I think it's important to know when you're in the right relationship and when you're not. And I don't think that you can mistake having the right relationship versus being in relationships that are just okay or just going with the flow, if that makes sense.
What do you
You
think
know that,
about?
yeah. Oh, go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh no, you was about to ask a question. I'm more interested in the
No,
question.
no,
Yeah,
no. It was not a question. Well, okay, it was a question, I guess. What do you think about? Because I seen this body cam about a wife who went with her new man, her new boyfriend, to for the boyfriend to serve divorce papers to the husband.
No, absolutely not.
That's wild, right?
that's
Absolutely
all.
not. And this is a whole other point. Your business with somebody else is nobody else's business.
Yeah, the officers are like, "Well, you should have hired someone. You should have hired a server." And because she crossed state lines, the state that she was in, they said, "No, you can't do that. Like, what makes you think that it's a good idea to bring your new man to serve papers to your husband?" They ended up arresting the boyfriend because
They should have.
they, yeah, they
And they
got
should have
into
arrested
it.
her too. They should have arrested her and then put her in
Um,
contempt.
did they arrest her? They might have. I, I think they did arrest her. Yes, because she hit the because there was an altercation, and then she tried to get her husband off the boyfriend, so she kicked the husband in the face. The guy had a whole footprint on his face, like a shoe print on his face. And so yeah, I think they arrested both of them.
That's sadistic behavior on her part, and that
Let
shouldn't.
me, what y'all think about this? 'Cause one of my friends went through this, right? Him and his baby mama had a fallout to the point where they had to get the courts and a law involved. So they determined that uh, they had joint custody, but they had to do the switch at the police station. So the baby mama brought the new boyfriend to come to the uh, baby daddy car to get the kids, and he was like, he took the kids to the police station. And was like, yeah, I just want to do the send off in here because I don't trust this, and I don't trust him, and I don't trust her. And the police was like, what? And the police basically scolded her like, look, that was stupid. Like, why would you ain't got a family member? Like, if you didn't feel
Mhm.
safe you at the police station, you could have did exactly or requested exactly what he did if you could. She was like, well, I think he gonna do something to me. Now, mind you, he the one who went to jail for hitting him with a brick. That's why they have to, that's why they're in the situation in the first place. She got mad, had a brick in her purse, and slapped him with it. But
It's like no common sense.
yeah, and the police was telling me like, nah, man, why would you do this? You don't feel safe. That's why you had the new boyfriend. Like,
Yeah, if they're in a good place, like Craig is saying, like, okay, if everyone's in a good place, maybe, but no, you're not at that point yet.
And people need a
my
time
boy
to
was
heal
tripping.
too.
Like, I don't even know this dude. Like, why she get this dude around my baby? I'm like, oh, shit.
Hey, you know what? Shout out to Tay Eats, the way that she dates and moves with men and deals with her child with that kind of stuff.
She ain't putting
She
them
doesn't
around her
allow
baby.
people around her child.
Yeah.
Well, and check this out. Okay, so the boyfriend that was in the car when, serving the papers, it turns out he told the officer, "Yeah, yeah, I understand, like, 'cause I have three baby mamas, so I've been in that position. I get it." And then the girl is pregnant on top of that. He's got three babies mamas, and he impregnated the married woman that's in the car who also went to jail.
Why
And
isn't
then
that a red flag for her?
huge
Oh,
red
man.
flags. all the way
I
around.
be wonder. I want to ask women about that, man. I need to have a conversation with some women. Like,
Why?
once you see this dude got multiple baby mamas, like, that's not a red flag. Like,
If you got 3 baby mamas, where's your fidelity? That's
yeah,
my
Well, and the
like,
question.
where's
husband's
the?
like, that's who she left me for. Like, that's who she left me for. Like, wow.
And you know what? It's probably a valid feeling.
Well, and they had the husband and the wife had a daughter too. The daughter had went in the house because the dad had gotten some gifts, and they didn't even give them like 10 minutes just to be together real quick in the house. And that's kind of where the altercation started too, because they were the boyfriend was banging on the door saying he let the little girl out. Well, it turns out they both got arrested, and the little girl stayed with the dad. And the
Good.
little girl's like, "What's going on?" Well, you're staying with your dad. Like, go inside the house now.
I had a friend who was dating a woman, and she wanted out of the relationship. So her vice to getting out of the relationship was trying to strike up a romance with all of his friends. And then one day
Yeah.
he was kind of like, "How come none of my friends come around?" And everybody was kind of like, "Hey, bro, that's your woman. Nobody's trying to do that. Nobody." And it took him probably 3 years to figure that out.
Oh, like she was like flirting with all his friends?
Yeah, and like more than flirting, she was throwing herself at all of his friends just to get to a point to make him mad enough to leave.
Yeah, people. I don't know why people do shit to make other people leave instead of just ending it. Like, okay. I never had that problem. Like, when I was like, I'm straight. Like,
That's
I'm
some
good.
that's some
I
psycho
used to
stuff
be
right
told,
there.
You're playing with fire, because that's what allegedly Zara, she made a post saying something like that, like she was gonna hit him where it hurts, like somebody that's close to him, that's like higher than him, close to him, that means a lot. That you're playing with fire.
Why do you have to be that toxic with somebody? Why can't you just say, you know what? Hey, enough's enough. See ya.
Well, that's a scorned woman. And
yeah,
vengeful, right? Very vengeful.
When that's emotions running crazy. And I don't mean that to be stereotypical or to be like a chauvinist, but that is, to me, the peak of emotions just gone wild on both parts, because he should have seen signs of that long before that became a situation.
that's why I always say emotions trump logic, bro. If people come to emotion, that shit trump logic, bro.
And that's one of
And
the things that I told my kids. You need to live life while you're young. Don't go out of high school and get married. Go on a cruise and go take a trip. Go take a vacation. Go out and see the world a little bit before you decide enough's to be locked down. Because once you get married and you have kids, those opportunities are closed. You
Yeah.
can't do that with kids. Not
So
on that
my
level.
wife, like, we waiting for our kids to get off. That's what I mean. We was out and about. Maybe we did that when we were young. But she like, I missed that. I wanted. No, I'm gonna wait a little bit. My son 5, my daughter 2. So in about 3 more years, she'll be ready to travel. But let me get my butt off here. 'Cause my daughter is still with and my wife is about to have a hand sound.
all right. Good
Well,
night,
thank you
Nines.
for
Good night,
having us.
everyone.
And thank you for the
I
stream.
appreciate y'all coming up, man. I ain't know if I ain't think nobody would come up. Well, I appreciate y'all coming up racking with me for a minute, man. I know this was just like an impromptu. I just jumped on. I ain't have it scheduled or nothing. Yeah, my
Yeah, I didn't know you were going live. All right. Take it
um,
easy, everyone.
Yep.
y'all take it easy, man. Appreciate y'all. Hey, man, y'all know what I always say. Care about how you feel. These conversations that build nations. And if we say anything that resonated with you, do me a favor. Hit that share button. tell somebody, help me spread the word. But until next.
And do it for the 9.
What up, 9?
Acknowledge me!
They've been telling y'all love, and I came to tell y'all right. The way you feel influences the way you think, and the way you think dictates the actions you take.
You there, sitting at home, acknowledge me.
When I move, is it a quick rumble? I won't ever, ever fall, never stumble.